exercise we will do is foam roller for the quad. You can take the foam roller, you'll be putting it under one leg. So this is the single leg version here. So you'll see that I've got one leg straight, which is the bottom leg. I'm doing my left side right now. And I'm going to roll from my hip down toward my mid-thigh. You have the option of being on your hands or down on your elbows. It's up to you. Just back and forth. Whichever position feels most comfortable on the back and neck is totally fine with the upper body. And then after between 10 and 15, we can go to the lower half of that quad or that thigh there, and then down from your knee to approximately mid-thigh. You can also go a little bit more face down. If that is more sensitive, then you will be better off spending more time that way. So what I just did was, instead of my foot flat, I flipped it over to knee down. So you can find the variant that works best for you in terms of finding those tender areas. And the goal will be that over time, you will get less tenderness as you do the roll, and that will let us know that it's working. Now we can switch to the other side. So same thing here, we're starting near the hip and we're moving down the leg. So your options will be either sideways, belly button facing the wall, or if you're feeling more tenderness with the position of belly button more towards the ground, you can do that as well, because we do want to focus on the area that's most tender. After the 10-15, let's work the lower part of the leg, or the lower part of the thigh, I should say. So then mid-thigh all the way down to the knee. And again, you can do the sideways, or you can do face down, or a combination. Looking for the one that feels most tender. And now I'm down on my elbows, of course, being on the face down version, the elbow feels a lot better than the hand. So between 10 and 15 of those. So for stretch number 2, we'll go to a seated piriformis stretch. The piriformis is just a muscle in our hip, so you can call it hip stretch too if that is easier to remember, but we'll put the ankle up over the knee. Now, as far as height goes, you want to find something to sit on that's approximately knee height. This is a little bit lower, which means it's going to give me a stronger stretch, but also that can sometimes bother people's knees. So you want to find a height that gives you a good stretch, but it also doesn't irritate the knee that is in the air. Once you're here, you want to try to sit up straight so that you're not slouched like I just was. So sitting up straight, and if you're unable to sit up straight, you should select a higher surface to sit on. This one is just held for about 30 seconds. All right, and then switch. Right ankle up over knee, and then working on sitting up straight. So if you have the ankle under the knee, that's better. If it's feeling too much of a stretch, you can move the heel forward, but only do that if it's too much with the heel directly under the knee. And still working on sitting up straight. You can place both hands on your shin to help yourself with that balance of sitting up straight. And again, for the 30 seconds. The stretches are also a great place to practice your breathing. When our body is under stress, it tends to want to hold the breath so that we can focus all our attention on the task at hand. But because holding our breath causes a stress response, it doesn't really work well in terms of getting more flexible. So after that one, we'll go to a kneeling stretch. For the kneeling stretch, you can have right knee down, left foot flat and in front of your body. We'll put both hands on the front knee, and then I want you to push your arms straighter and straighter, which will just help your back be more upright rather than slumped forward. Once you're at your limit of how far you can straighten your arms while keeping your glutes squeezed and your abs squeezed, then you just hold. So we don't want a backward arch like that which would mean that your glutes and your abs are not squeezed. So make sure that you are straight up and down. Also make sure that your feet are on railroad tracks, meaning they're separate. It's not like one in front of the other like a tightrope, but it's rather more like a railroad track or ladder configuration. You can switch sides. Okay, so now we've got the right leg forward and we're on the left knee is on the floor. So when you stack up, you should make sure your left hip is directly over your left knee. I don't want to see this. We want to be straight up. Squeezing the glute, tightening the abs. Making sure too that your left and right hip are even. So you can take your hands and place them on the front of your hips. And did you lift up one side or are they feeling about the same? And it can be hard to keep them the same. So if you're tipped this much, that's still better than being like that. So really work on the idea of being lined up, but realize that it might not be perfect, especially at the beginning. All right, so that is your 3 stretches, and you can repeat the whole thing so that you do it 2 rounds through. And that should be done approximately 5 times per week.